Hi, and thanks so much for joining me for my July favorites. If you'd like to see that, please keep watching. Starting off with a product that you recommended to me and convinced me to pick up, and I wanted to mention it because I believe it is still on sale at the Nordstrom anniversary sale, if it's still available. And this is the Shantikai Ultra Sun Protection Sunscreen. This is new to me. I picked it up because you nudged me to pick it up during the Shantikai 30% off sale. So if you missed that one, and it's still available at Nordstrom, it's a really great deal. I did get my order in a few days ago, immediately started trying this. I wanted to see what the hype was all about. And this sunscreen is quite unlike any other sunscreen I've tried. Most sunscreens, even when they are linked to a beauty line, can tend to have a greasy film to them, and that usually interferes with makeup. This one doesn't have it. It's a very fluid kind of texture, which surprised me, but this has little beads in there because you're supposed to shake this well. That's how fluid this is. It is oil-free, paraben-free, again, SPF 45. It has become a favorite so quickly that I do want to pick up the deal over on Nordstrom, even though this is brand new. I know I will be going through this. It feels great with no makeup. It works really well with makeup. So it is just so different than any other sunscreen I've tried. So thank you again for pushing me in the direction to pick this up. It is beautiful. So this is not all Shantikai. I do have other things, but I think this might be the only other Shantikai product. No, there's another one. But I do have a haul coming up soon because almost everything's come in. But this is another holy grail for many of you. Something I've read quite a bit about, heard quite a bit about. The price tag though seemed like it was a lot for what it was, but now I get it. It is the mascara. So most high-end mascaras for me don't do much, which is why I struggle with them a little bit. I like volume, I like length, and sometimes it just takes so long to build that up. This one is not that case. In fact, I usually use the Dior Show 3D primer for the lashes because it conditions, builds some of that volume and length before I go in with mascara, but I've been using this without my primer. So this is also really good for your lashes, and I have it on now. Flaking is not an issue, clumping is not an issue, and one of you mentioned that after it dries out just a little bit, so I noticed I've had this like a couple of weeks. It's really at a nice point where the volume builds a little bit faster because of the texture. Another quick favorite of mine. Moving on to this cream blush, I quickly touched on it in another video. This is by Kyra Weiss. It is a cream blush bronzer duo, and this one is in Sunlit Glow. And the special thing about this, there are many cream blushes out there, is that this one does not lift off makeup. So I love cream products. I love cream blushes, but they usually will interfere with the makeup I've already applied. So it'll break it up, it'll lift it off. This one doesn't do that. This one I can add on top of my concealer without a problem. I have it on now. It does a really nice job and also does a little bit of color correcting because it has a bit of warmth. I also like this, although I have to say if you're any more tan than me, it might be tricky in terms of it actually showing up. Vicky J chimed in and she said maybe this would be a really great highlighter on someone if they have a really beautiful rich skin tone. So it does have some shimmer in it also, if you were wondering, although it's not like a really annoying kind of shimmer. Sometimes bronzers can have a little bit too much and then it's just sparkly. This one is not sparkly. I did use it on my eyes today. I think it's a little hard to see because of my eyeliners, but I did use it. I think this is a really great product for those no makeup lovers. This really just melds so beautifully with the skin. So I've only found 2 cream blushes that can be applied without lifting off makeup. This is one of them. And the other one is by Color Science. It's their blush stick. I can't remember what it's called. I'll list it below. But it has SPF in it and I will just apply it right here. Doesn't disturb the makeup underneath. So this is a really beautiful product. I did, however, apply another blush on top. So that one kind of dries down really beautifully. But I did want to see what else I could do with this because I like this, the Charlotte Tilbury Lip and Cheek Glow. And I like the glow about it, but this is one of those cream products that I cannot put here because it will start to lift off and break apart that makeup. So I did take a little bit of this and I just tapped it here. So where I would normally put highlighter, it does give a little bit of glow because it is more glossy in terms of its texture. So I like these two together. So anytime I can use 2 products, like 2 blushes, 2 powders, 2 bronzers, 2 foundations, I will, just to give a little bit more dimension and interest. So speaking of 2 products, I did do a video with these 2 bronzers, and I hesitated at first even including them because I know these have been so difficult to get a hold of. I don't know why, but they've been sporadic in terms of who carries it, and then it's like, it's there, it's gone, it's there, it's gone. So I did check today before I included these, and I saw that they were available on, I think, Bergdorf Goodman and, on the Gucci site. So I will link those. Hopefully they're still there by the time this goes up. This is going up tomorrow though, so hopefully. But I do have 4 and 3. So the color selection is all over the place in terms of coating as well. Morgan Turner did an excellent job. She was curious about number 2 and number 3. And so she has, I think, 1 or 2 videos featuring these. So I will link her video below if you want to see the difference. But what I did today with 4 is I took this brush, my Ultimate Cheekbone brush, I kind of carved out the shape, went along the hairline with this. And then I took my airbrush by Charlotte Tilbury and I took number 3 and I just buffed that all in. Also, I had questions about covering my dark spots because there was the Givenchy powder video where someone's like, oh, I actually see your spots this time. And I kind of left it that way because it's supposed to blur that powder. So I wanted to see if it actually blurred anything more. So I think the way I applied my makeup is how people typically apply their makeup. Foundation, some concealer, some powder. So if I do that, you can still see the dark spots coming through. In fact, I think when I put foundation on, it's actually more prominent because everything else is evened out and looks pretty good, except for that. I think that just sticks out. I feel like having no makeup on actually doesn't look as bad as just regular makeup. So I forgot this. This is an important part of today's favorites. One of them is the Shantikai Radiance Elixir. There's a bit of iridescence to this. I'll try and capture it with the camera. But it's a fluid formula. It comes in like a dropper like this. So I mixed it today. And in a couple of videos recently where I've used it, I looked at my foundation and I thought that looks really different to me, like different in a good way. I mixed it with Airbrush Flawless Foundation, Charlotte Tilbury 7W, because I like the opacity of this one. It has great coverage while not being too thick, but it does have like I don't know how best to describe, but like a paint-like kind of finish. That doesn't sound good, but if you've used it, maybe you know what I'm talking about. It does dry down, like a satin or eggshell kind of finish. Hard to describe. So I mixed it in equal parts with the Clé de Peau. So this has a little bit more coolness to it. This is a little warm for me. So I like the consistency of the Clé de Peau. It was my favorite of last year. Much more fluid, kind of like this. So I mixed these 3 together to get kind of a glow, but that can be hard if you have oily skin. So I'm more oily prone here, so I avoid things that provide a glow because usually that means it's more emollient and can kind of fall apart more easily on me. So I thought maybe if I put this elixir in with this, because this one doesn't move, I thought that would be a nice combo. So I do have that on now. Then went in with my Clé de Peau concealers. And then I did set today though with this powder. So this is a new favorite, the Hyrulonic Tinted Hydra-Powder. And I don't know what happened between the time I found it for $15 and the time the video went up because I couldn't find it anymore for $15. I've not been able to find it at that price point since, but I will keep looking at other retailers to see if I can find you a deal. So I did finish off with that because it does some nice color correcting on top. If you have darkness like me, sometimes when you add a powder on top of concealer, when the concealer looks perfect, you add powder and then it deepens it. Or it becomes more translucent again somehow. I don't know. Again, if you have this issue, you know what I'm talking about. It can be very frustrating. So going in with a powder that color corrects like that, there's a Bobbi Brown powder too that I used before. Did the same thing, really nice. Then I went in with the Gucci powder like this. I do finish off with the Hummingbird powder, Shantikai. So I think this is why I do try out so many powders because I use so many powders. I did top it off with just a combination of dim light and diffused light. So I kind of put the brush between these two by Hourglass. This is the Ghost palette and I just put it here just to blur a little bit more. Sometimes I'll go in again with this. Now that sounds like a lot of layers, a lot of powder, I know, but these are very, very thin layers. Just be light-handed with this. Fine, thin layers does it. Packing on makeup especially doesn't work on me because of my pores. They will start to get emphasized quickly. So again, thin layers. Let me know if you want to see a demo. Moving along, I do have this Private Beach body oil by House of Sillage that I've been loving. If you like a body oil that actually absorbs into the skin and doesn't leave a film, this is a beautiful one. I've only tried another one, I think I've said it before, by Mecca Beauty that did that. It absorbed really nicely. This is one of those kinds of oils that absorbs really nicely into the skin and doesn't leave any residue. Smells beautiful. It's a really nice lightweight moisturizer for the summer. Okay, I've been talking so long, the battery died, so hopefully this isn't such a long video. But of course I do have to mention the House of Sillage Wonder Woman collection. This fragrance is so beautiful. It's so wearable. Really nice vanilla note in there. This is the first time I've been cautious about how much to use because it is limited edition. Only 400 were created, and I tuned into their Instagram live and I believe it's something like 60 hours of work went into each bottle. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what I heard. It was a little bit glitchy at that point, but it would make sense because this is just gorgeous. So if you're looking for a fragrance that not many people have, I mean, not many people I think have House of Sillage fragrances to begin with, this is definitely one of them. It is limited edition within their collection. And then this lipstick, I just have to mention the lipstick case that goes along with it. I do have the Lip On Now. It is one of my favorite lip formulas as well as one of my favorite colors they've done. King is one of my all-time favorites, but this one's up there in terms of how beautiful it looks. I did want to mention that as well. I just applied it straight onto my lips. So usually I need to hydrate a little bit more before I apply lipstick, but I just kind of made sure it was exfoliated, added the lipstick, and then that was it, no gloss. So you can see the finish on the lipstick. Beautiful. A couple more lip products here. Shantikai. I've been wearing these two together. So I did pick up Coral Belle, and I didn't love this on me. It was okay. I mean, it was nice. The product itself is beautiful, but the color, it was nice, but not my favorite. And then I picked up Honeysuckle, which is pretty much my lip color. I've been wearing them together as a daily lip color. Really beautiful. In case you have both of them, try combining them together. They look really nice. And then, of course, the Wayne Goss palette. I love this. I think it's all of the really beautiful colors in one place. I think I heard someone else say it that you may have these in different spots in your palettes, but it's great to have them all in one place. And they're all really high quality too. Great go-to palette. One of you wanted to see something a little bit more casual, so look for the video. I think it's a Chanel video I'll be posting soon where I use the powder, but I also use this as the eye, and it's a very pared down, very simple look, everyday wear. I did want to mention the pencils too. I think the palette gets a lot of attention, but I just watched someone else this morning. I think it was Glam Girl Chelsea. I'll leave her video below. She talked about the pencils as well as being a must-have to pick up. These really allow for that smudging, especially again if you're a beginner or if you just like to play with your makeup and not have it set right away, because sometimes the makeup sets so quickly that you don't have time to kind of play around with it. So these are beautiful, and I love all of the shades. I've used them for different purposes. The Obsidian is great for that lash line to intensify the lashes. I like Precious Opal for the waterline, and then I like Rich Hazel to carve out the shape. They all have different purposes for me, and I demoed that in the Wayne Goss video if you'd like to see that. So in terms of setting that shape, this has become my go-to pencil, especially again, Rich Hazel has been the one to carve out that shape. Another thing that I've been loving is the Shantikai Pure Rose Water. I have been doing like Sylvie Shantikai and leaving it on my nightstand. So it's the first thing that I spray on my face in the morning. Really refreshing, beautiful way to start the day. And then at the end of the day, I'll also spritz it on my face, just to kind of calm down, center myself before it's time to sleep. So this is just a beautiful water as well as the scent that goes with it. Refreshing and also calming. Just a few hair things. So these products by IGK, I hauled them. I still really love them, and what I like the most about this heat protection is it's called a Bouncy Blowout Cream. Sometimes heat protectants, which is why I haven't been using them as much, sometimes heat protectants can kind of make my hair not as bouncy. So I really like this because it maintains the movement while you get that heat protectant. So this is a great one if you've had experiences with other heat protectants, especially sprays that can make your hair, I don't know, a little bit harder to deal with and not as healthy looking. And then this Beach Club Volumizing Texture Spray. But let me this, I went easy on it today, but I kind of am using it as like a hairspray of sorts without, so it kind of keeps the shape without adding that weight to it, because I think that's my problem with hairspray. My hair is already coarse and heavy, so when I add hairspray, it continues to weigh it down, which I don't know what took me so long to realize that. So I like this to kind of give shape and also keep that volume, as much volume as possible. I mean, like, this is way more volume than I have. I let my hair dry naturally the other day and it was like right along my face like this. Yeah, it was very straight and like lifeless. I've mentioned these two before, but because sometimes it is difficult or also impossible to get to a salon depending on where you are, this Rita Hayes Root Concealer has come in really handy. I have it in now. I just quick spray here. It has a nozzle like this so it doesn't go all over the place. I don't recommend this though for when you are out and about in the world, because what happens, well, what I do, which is probably what I shouldn't do, I do put my sunglasses on top of my head, and what happens is that the color transfers to my sunglasses and then ends up here on my face. So it works well for things like this, or if you have an online meeting and you're not constantly putting your glasses up and down. That is something to be aware of, because I think it says transfer proof, or I don't know if it says transfer proof, but it does transfer. It's not bad, but it does transfer. Another thing too is this drugstore, because I've never seen a like high-end version of this, but it works really well. This is the L'Oreal Magic Root Precision, and that's for the hairs right here. So it's got these little fine hairs here, and then inside is the color, and it comes out, and so you just brush, you hold your roots like this and you just brush it through, so you can get a little bit more targeted with this. So it's not like, I wouldn't recommend this for spraying right here. So this is not a new recommendation, but I just know that some people are unable to get their hair colored. So these have been quite helpful recently for me. And that's it for my July favorites. I would love to know what your favorites are. So what I do is when you mention your favorites or recommendations, I will copy and paste it into a list. I have a running list of your recommendations. So when I need some inspiration or I see that there's some kind of sale or promotion going on, I will look at that list and try and pick up some of the things that you have recommended. So it's really helpful for me, and I know it's helpful for other people. So I would appreciate if you leave a favorite or two down below. Again, you provide me with so many excellent recommendations. That sunscreen purchase was, again, a recommendation from you that pushed me to pick it up. So I'm so thankful that I did, because I love it. And that's it for today's video. So please take care of each other, stay well. And if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks.